How's everybody doing? It is Friday afternoon, June 6th. A few hours ago, our esteemed Attorney General Pam Bondi held a press conference in which she announced that Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who the government previously had admitted they wrongfully transported to CCOT prison in El Salvador, is being returned to the United States. Oh, and that the Department of Justice has indicted him on 2 counts of human trafficking. So I watched her press conference and I printed out the indictment. Let's go through her press conference first. She thanked El Salvadoran President Bukele for returning Kilmar Abrego Garcia. She said that he had been a full-time human trafficker for 9 years within the United States, that he was part of a very large smuggling ring, though he's the only person who has been criminally charged. He's also the only member of that alleged smuggling ring that I think at least 2 different courts have ordered him, including the Supreme Court, have ordered Donald Trump to facilitate their return to the United States. Pam Bondi said that Mr. Abrego Garcia for 9 years was a smuggler of women and children, that he had made more than 100 trips smuggling people throughout the United States, smuggling undocumented immigrants, that he routinely transported MS-13 gang members and members of other violent street gangs comprised of undocumented immigrants. She alleged that he is a member of MS-13, no charge for any of that, that he had participated in the smuggling of thousands of undocumented immigrants throughout the United States, including the transportation of minor children, and that this was the same smuggling ring that was responsible some time ago for the deaths of 50 immigrants in Mexico when the truck that was transporting them overturned and crashed. She stated that Kilmar Abrego Garcia had abused undocumented immigrant women who were left in his charge. He was not charged for that criminally. She said that he routinely trafficked guns throughout the United States. He was not charged for that. She said that he routinely trafficked drugs throughout the United States. She didn't identify what kind of drugs. He was not charged with drug smuggling. She said that he removed seats, had fake floors and hiding spaces in vehicles. He wasn't charged criminally for that. She said that he had solicited nude photos and videos of a minor. He was not charged with that. That allegation was made by a co-conspirator. That same co-conspirator alleged that he had played a role in the murder of a rival gang member's mother. He has not been charged with murder or conspiracy to commit murder. She said he's a danger to the community. She would not answer reporters who asked, when did this investigation into Kilmar Abrego Garcia begin? And she said that once convicted, he will serve his sentence here in the United States before being returned to his home country of El Salvador. I would politely remind the Attorney General that he has not been convicted of any crime yet in either country. And she referenced an unrelated arrest of MS-13 members in Virginia, although she was kind enough to say that that had nothing to do with Mr. Abrego Garcia's case. So let's talk about the indictment. After watching that press conference, Pam Bondi is a clown. After reading this indictment, in so many ways, this indictment is ridiculous, and we're going to talk about that. Introductory allegations. So for the first few pages, We get some general allegations, and then we get into the first of 2 counts that he was charged with: conspiracy to transport aliens and unlawful transportation of undocumented aliens. So from around 2016 to 2025, for 9 years in the United States. Let's see. Who was president? Who won the 2016 election and then became president? I'm trying to think. From in or around 2016 through in or around 2025, Mr. Garcia and others known to the grand jury conspired to bring undocumented aliens to the United States from countries such as Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Ecuador, and elsewhere, ultimately passing through Mexico before crossing into Texas. The co-conspirators knew the undocumented aliens did not possess authorizations to enter the United States. Paragraph 2. Mr. Garcia and co-conspirators from El Salvador, Guatemala, Mexico, and the United States and elsewhere communicated with each other using cellular telephones. That's good to know. I wonder if the DOJ has any phone records. And social media applications, that's trackable as well, to facilitate the unlawful transportation of undocumented aliens without authorization to and throughout the United States. Does anybody listening to this believe that if Pam Bondi had phone records and social media posts proving her allegations, that she would not have shared those at today's press conference? Does anybody believe that? Mr. Garcia and co-conspirators collected financial payments from undocumented aliens for illegal transportation into and throughout the United States. The co-conspirators then knowingly transferred money between one another in an effort to conceal the origin of the payments. Transferred how? Cash, banks, Western Union, wire transfers? Are there any details of when those transfers took place and how much each of those transfers were? Because none of that information is included in the indictment. Co-conspirators 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All persons known to the grand jury were co-conspirators with Mr. Garcia. All were citizens of El Salvador, and all were not United States citizens. Co-conspirator 6. We're up to 6. Also, a person known to the grand jury was a citizen of Guatemala and not a United States citizen. 7 co-conspirators in all, including Mr. Garcia, and only Mr. Garcia was charged. None of these other 6 co-conspirators was charged with any crime. Yet they were smuggling women and girls and MS-13 members. They were smuggling guns. They were smuggling drugs. None of them have been charged with anything. Mr. Garcia was a citizen of El Salvador, was not a United States citizen, and was living in the United States. He was also a member and associate of the transnational criminal organization La Mara Salvatrucha, otherwise known and hereinafter referred to as MS-13. Evidence? Is there any evidence of that? That's just a statement. He's also not charged with being a member of MS-13. He's not charged with aiding and abetting MS-13. He's not charged with conspiring with MS-13. He's not charged with committing any crimes on behalf of MS-13. MS-13 is a criminal enterprise, blah, blah, blah. There's a whole paragraph about MS-13, which doesn't matter because he's not charged with that. Paragraph 7, Mr. Garcia, as detailed further below, used his status in MS-13 to further his criminal activity. There's no evidence provided for that, either of those things, in this indictment. Over the course of the conspiracy, the co-conspirators knowingly and unlawfully transported thousands of undocumented aliens, yet he's only charged with 2 counts, one for conspiracy, one for transportation, and many of whom were MS-13 members and associates. Again, no evidence of any kind provided in support of that self-serving statement. The co-conspirators also worked with transnational criminal organizations in Mexico to transport undocumented aliens through Mexico and into the United States. There's no charge for that. There's no evidence provided for that. There's no details or dates or times or locations or names of people who were transported, where they were coming from, where they were going to. This indictment is what I would describe as being very light on facts. Count 1, 8 USC 1324 A1 AVI, conspiracy to transport aliens. The conspiracy, paragraph 9, between 2016 and 2015 in the Middle District of Tennessee and elsewhere, Mr. Garcia did combine, conspire, confederate, and agree with co-conspirators 1 through 6, none of whom have been charged, to knowingly and in reckless disregard of the facts, transport and move aliens within the United States. Within the United States. Not bringing them from other countries, as the first couple pages said. He's not charged with bringing people in from outside the United States. He's charged with transporting them and moving them within the United States for financial gain. B, manner and means. In or around 2016, shortly after meeting co-conspirator 1, who's not identified, none of the co-conspirators are identified by name, not one. Mr. Garcia and co-conspirator 1 agreed to work together to transport undocumented aliens for profit and private financial gain. If the only evidence in support of that statement or that allegation is a statement from co-conspirator 1, first of all, it could be hearsay. Second, I would hope that Attorney General Bondi would have some independent corroborating evidence of that documentary, emails, text messages, voicemail messages, anything along those lines. Paragraph 11, page 3. Co-conspirators outside the United States facilitated the travel of undocumented aliens from El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Ecuador, Mexico, and elsewhere to illegally cross the border into the United States into Texas. Co-conspirator 6 was one of the primary sources of supply of undocumented aliens for the conspiracy, and many of the undocumented aliens supplied by co-conspirator 6 included MS-13 members and associates. No evidence provided. None of these people are identified. There are no declarations included from any of these co-conspirators or people who they transported. And that paragraph 11 does not involve Mr. Garcia. And co-conspirator 6 has not been charged with any crimes. You picking up on a pattern here? Mr. Garcia and co-conspirator 1 ordinarily picked up the undocumented aliens in Houston, Texas, where after they had illegally crossed into the United States, Garcia and co-conspirator 1 then transported undocumented aliens from Texas to other parts of the United States to further the aliens' unlawful presence in the United States. No dates, no names, no times, no locations, no other cities, no nothing. No details of any kind provided. Here's something interesting. During the course of the conspiracy, co-conspirator 1 was incarcerated for alien smuggling and was deported from the United States. So co-conspirator 1 has a record. During that, and records have documentation. During that period, co-conspirator 2, at the direction of co-conspirator 1, Hearsay, began working with Mr. Garcia to transport undocumented aliens for profit. After co-conspirator 1 was released from prison and deported, he then illegally re-entered the United States and returned to work with Mr. Garcia and co-conspirator 2 and other co-conspirators. In addition to transporting undocumented aliens, Mr. Garcia, co-conspirator 1 and co-conspirator 2 occasionally and simultaneously transported firearms illegally purchased in Texas for distribution and resale in Maryland. No details, no dates, no times, and nobody within this document has been charged with gun smuggling or illegally purchasing weapons. No charges for any of that here. No one's been charged. Do you honestly think that if this government could prove that Kilmar Abrego Garcia illegally purchased guns in Texas and then illegally transported them to Maryland and then illegally sold them to other people, that they would not have charged him with that? Paragraph 15, in addition to transporting undocumented aliens and firearms at times, Mr. Garcia occasionally and simultaneously transported narcotics purchased in Texas for distribution and resale in Maryland. No details, no names, no dates, no times, no description of drugs, no description of amounts, no description of where he took them, who he gave them to, who he sold them to, and he has not been charged with drug trafficking or purchasing drugs illegally. This indictment's a fucking joke. Let's see. On various occasions throughout the conspiracy, he and his co-conspirators transported from Texas to other parts of the United States MS-13 members and associates. No dates, no times, no names, no locations, no charges. 18 on page 5 of 9. We're getting there. Mr. Garcia and co-conspirator 1 regularly required the undocumented aliens they transported to pay Mr. Garcia and co-conspirator 1 in cash for facilitating their transport. The MS-13 members and associates transported by co-conspirator 2 refused to pay co-conspirator 2 for his transportation services, but the MS-13 members and associates Mr. Garcia transported generally treated Mr. Garcia with respect and also paid him for his transportation services. Again, I hope that Pam Bondi has corroborating evidence for that factual allegation, which clearly is just a statement that was given by co-conspirator number 2, who has not been charged with any crimes. Co-conspirators later transferred via Western Union. Oh, great. There should be documentation of that. And other means, at least some of these monies derived from unlawful transportation, No charges for any of that. Paragraph 19. Co-conspirator 3, on multiple occasions with Mr. Garcia and co-conspirator 1, transported undocumented aliens within the United States. They received payments in furtherance of the conspiracy. No dates, no times, no cities, no locations, no number of passengers, no description of the vehicle they used, no nothing. Just this, they did this, with nothing in support of it. They did this. Co-conspirators 4 and 5 received thousands of dollars of criminal proceeds derived from the conspiracy by wire. Oh, good, there'll be records of that. And from other co-conspirators, both within and outside the United States. Co-conspirator 1 also directed co-conspirator 6 and other co-conspirators known and unknown to the grand jury to transfer money, yada yada. C6 also transferred criminal proceeds by wire to co-conspirator number 4. No mention of Mr. Garcia in that paragraph. And again, co-conspirators 1 through 6 have not been charged with any crimes. In an effort in part to protect operational security and conceal their illegal smuggling operation, Mr. Garcia, co-conspirator 1 and co-conspirator 2 varied their transportation routes within the United States. Gosh, I wonder what those routes could be, because Attorney General Pam Bondi has provided absolutely no details of what those routes would be within the document itself. Jesus. If I turned this in as like a writing assignment where I work, I would get fired immediately. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, co-conspirator 1 and 2, routinely took undocumented aliens' cellular phones they transported in the United States, gave them back to them at the end of the trip to ensure that they would not be able to contact anyone else during the trip. Okay. Mr. Garcia, co-conspirators 1 and 2, transported undocumented aliens in an unsafe manner, including using reconfigured vehicles with aftermarket attached seating rows, and then transported children, on the floorboards of vehicles in order to maximize profits. Gosh, if only we had the names of who some of these people were so that reporters could interview them about this horrific experience they went to. Oh wait, none of those names are provided in this indictment. As part of the conspiracy, none of the undocumented aliens transported carried any luggage. Okay? You don't have any luggage. Conspiracy! To conceal their illegal activity, Mr. Garcia and co-conspirators 1 and 2 routinely devised and employed knowingly false cover stories to provide law enforcement if they were stopped during a transport. These false cover stories regularly involved transportation of individuals for work, such as construction job. Wow, lying about where you're coming from and going to. My brother and I did that routinely with our parents when we were teenagers. We were never charged with any crimes for that. In 2021, as part of co-conspirator number 6's criminal activities in these international transports, co-conspirator number 6 was involved in the transportation of more than 150 migrants that ended when their tractor trailer carrying them overturned in Mexico, resulting in the deaths of more than 50 migrants and injuring many others. Not mentioned in that paragraph is Mr. Garcia. Mr. Garcia sometimes brought close relatives with him when he picked up undocumented aliens in Texas and transported them to other parts of the United States. I wonder what the names of those close relatives would be, or the dates, times, places, locations of those pickups. Not included in the indictment. During some of the trips, Mr. Garcia operated when he did not bring a close relative of him. Co-conspirator number 6 received reports from undocumented immigrants, so now we've got double hearsay. This guy heard something from these people, and now that's in the document, even though we don't know who the first guy or the second group of people are, and we don't have any statements directly from them. So co-conspirator number 6 had heard from some undocumented immigrants that Mr. Garcia had abused some of the female undocumented aliens. No further details of those allegations are included. Knowing this was bad for business, co-conspirator number 6 reported these allegations of abuse by Mr. Garcia to both co-conspirators number 1 and 2, and co-conspirator number 6 directed co-conspirators number 1 and 2 to cause Mr. Garcia to stop the abuse. That is the most, from a legal perspective, that's the most comical fucking paragraph in a legal document that I've ever read. It's layer of hearsay upon layer of hearsay, and this co-conspirator told that co-conspirator to tell that co-conspirator to do this thing and that thing. Reading this document makes me wish I was still doing criminal defense work. Mr. Garcia, co-conspirators number 1 and 2 routinely transported between 6 and 10 undocumented aliens per trip to maximize efficiency and profits. No further details included. No dates, times, locations, cities, amounts of money, identities of any of the undocumented aliens that they allegedly transported. We still don't know the identities of co-conspirators 1 through 6. Over the course of the conspiracy, Kilmar Abrego Garcia transported undocumented aliens who had entered the United States without authorization on approximately more than 100 trips between Texas to Maryland and other states. So he did it 100 times as part of a conspiracy. He's charged with one count. One count. Representative acts of the conspiracy. Paragraph 30 on page 7. Transportation in Tennessee. On or about the following dates, as representative of the manner and means of the conspiracy, Mr. Garcia and his co-conspirators took and caused the following actions. On or about November 30th, 2022, a state trooper with the Tennessee Highway. Okay, great. Now we're getting some dates. We're getting some times. We're getting some locations for one single incident. Maybe that's why he was only charged with one count, because possibly maybe all of the other things that came in the indictment before this paragraph are complete bullshit. A Tennessee Highway Patrol officer conducted a traffic stop on a Chevrolet Suburban on I-40 in Putnam County, Tennessee, outside of Cookeville, Tennessee, located in the Middle District of Tennessee. Other Tennessee Highway Patrol troopers subsequently responded to the scene of a traffic stop. The November 30, 2022 traffic stop was captured on video by the Tennessee Highway Patrol body-worn cameras. Mr. Abrego Garcia was the driver of the Suburban. There were 9 additional passengers in the Suburban, all of whom were Hispanic males, and none of whom had any identification. Interesting. Then how would anybody know whether or not they're in the United States legally or illegally if they are unable to be identified? If you can't identify someone, how do you determine their immigration status within the United States? And who were these 9 additional passengers? They weren't identified. Their names aren't included here. This is the representative act of the conspiracy that is contained within the indictment. And Pam Bondi can't even prove the immigration status of the 9 other people who were in that Suburban with Mr. Garcia when he was pulled over. When asked where they were going, he said knowingly and falsely told the state trooper that the passengers were coming from St. Louis. How do you prove that? How do you know that? Mr. Garcia further knowingly and falsely stated to the state trooper that the Suburban passengers had been in St. Louis for 2 weeks doing construction. If you can't even identify the other 9 people in the vehicle, how do you know that? Mr. Garcia also offered that the passengers were on their way back to Maryland, which he also then knew to be false because the passengers had been picked up in Texas. Multiple passengers told the Tennessee Highway Patrol state troopers that they were going to the same address in Maryland. These same Tennessee Highway Patrol officers who were unable to identify any of these 9 men. The Suburban missed or determined their immigration status. The Suburban that Mr. Garcia was driving had an aftermarket 3rd row of seats where a cargo area should be. That's not a crime. Aftermarket 3rd row of seats, meaning it was manufactured by another company so that you could put a 3rd row of seats in your Suburban. That doesn't make you a criminal. None of the undocumented passengers had any luggage, nor were there any tools or construction equipment in the Suburban. None of those things is a crime. License plate reader showed that the Suburban had not been near St. Louis, but in fact had been near Houston, Texas, in the week leading up to the traffic stop on November 30th, 2022. Not a crime. Mr. Garcia had $1,400 in his pocket. Not a crime. Shortly after the traffic stop, Mr. Garcia informed other members of the conspiracy that he had been stopped by law enforcement in Tennessee, but that he had been released. That's right. The Tennessee Highway Patrol pulling over an alleged human trafficker with 9 unidentifiable Hispanic men in a Chevy Suburban was not arrested. He was not arrested. He was not charged with anything. And this is the single factual element, the single factual allegation with actual details included that is upholding this entire fucking indictment. And they don't even know whether or not these guys were U.S. citizens or not. They don't know whether they were here legally or illegally. This is the one fact, the one set of facts that contains details upholding this entire fucking indictment. It's unbelievable. Count 2, unlawful transportation of undocumented aliens. And then it goes through that same incident on or about November 30th, 2022 in Tennessee, where in the Middle District of Tennessee and elsewhere, Mr. Garcia, aided and abetted by others known and unknown to the grand jury, did, knowing and in reckless disregard of the fact that certain aliens had come to, entered, and remained in the United States in violation of law, did transport and move said aliens within the United States by means of transportation or otherwise, and in furtherance of such violation of law, with intent to further the unlawful presence of the aliens in the United States for private financial gain. They didn't even identify the other people in the car. They didn't identify the other 9 people in the vehicle. So how do they know whether or not they were here legally or illegally? And if they were here illegally, why weren't they arrested by the Tennessee Highway Patrol, who released Mr. Garcia, his vehicle, and his 9 passengers? This indictment is a pile of bullshit built on another pile of absolute bullshit. It is clownery in the purest form. Allegations of being an MS-13 member, no charge for that. Allegations of abusing women that he was in charge of, no criminal charge for that. Allegations of soliciting nude photos from a minor, no criminal charge in this indictment for that. Trafficked, illegally purchased firearms on multiple occasions, no charge in the indictment for that. Trafficked illegal drugs across state lines on multiple occasions, no criminal charge in the indictment for that. An allegation that he had played a role in the murder of a rival gang member's mother, no criminal charge in the indictment for that. This thing's a fucking joke. And they did it because they were forced to bring him back to the United States. And so they trumped up a 2-count indictment alleging that he's been an MS-13 member for a decade, smuggling thousands and thousands of humans across the southern border and around the United States, smuggling drugs, smuggling guns, soliciting nude photos and videos from minors, and abusing women. None of which is he charged for in the indictment criminally. Total load of bullshit, man.